Good morning, folks. Shane here at Kombachu. I'm just going to do you a little stirring demonstration with biodynamic preparations. So what I've got here is probably the quantity you'll use for the average, 700 or 1,000 metre block in the suburbs. This is an activator. This is all the biodynamic preparations in one product. To simplify the process a little, I like to be able to put all my preparations out in one operation, so save a lot of time going around the paddocks. So put it all out, and I also like to put it out, timing's important, somewhere between the 1st of January and the 31st of December, so it gives you a little bit of a window to work in. But this is the activator, what I call E9. Nice. You see how it kind of it's this beautiful colloidal mass. Since it's come out of the pit here, it's been processed by earthworms, so it gets the extra thing of having the worm juices in it. So we're just going in this 20 litre bucket. I've got probably a third of a bucket of water. Now, a lot of the biodynamic texts, they'll tell you to warm the water to blood temperature. So, you can imagine I'm working on, a few thousand hectares. I want to stir up 1,000 litres of product to put out. It's going to take some time to heat that water up. I've put a lot of thought into why the warming of the water, and I guess a lot of the biodynamic stuff comes out of a European context. And you can imagine hand stirring in water in midwinter in Europe. Bloody cold. So we stir this into a vortex, get it going in one direction, and then we go just create total chaos and take that back the other direction. And there's a number of things you'll notice when you do this is the water has incredible sensitivity and memory. So as we do this, as you stir like this, you'll find it vortexes easier as you go through the process. It's like I'm supposed to be spinning in this direction into a vortex. The chaos, what's the idea of the chaos? Where we get that nice order of the vortex going, and then we go in there and just totally smash that. We get a lot of air in there, a lot of bubbles. So it's a universal principle that creation happens out of chaos. Creation doesn't happen out of order. So we need to have that chaos to keep building the process. And if you look at it in homeopathy, if you're making potencies, the potencies are created by chaos, where you're succussing the product in a bottle. You're constantly thumping like succussing it, and that's the chaos that creates the potency, that puts the memory of what you're doing, or the DNA of what you're working with. It imprints it on the water molecule. Some really interesting stuff now from a lady in New Zealand called Veda Austin, and she's doing some amazing freezing of water and getting crystal pictures. And one's quite interesting is she's got a petri dish with water on it, and she puts a hand in it for 30 seconds or something, and then she freezes the water, and the crystals form an impression of her hand. So she's done a lot of work like that. So I'm now asking the question about these biodynamic preparations and putting them in water and stirring them. Is this stirring process, like for an hour or half an hour, is it necessary? Do we need to just introduce the preparations to the water for, like she's doing, for 30 seconds? The other thing that happens when you're doing this stirring, it's a great, I guess, in a way, a focusing or a meditation exercise where you're focusing down into that bucket, into that vortex. You're focusing into that chaos and then recreating the order. So yeah, creation happens out of chaos. It doesn't happen out of order. Like if you get in any sort of a situation where all the ducks are lined up, everything's really honky-dory, you know, chugging along nicely, generally nothing new will happen out of that. It'll just be the same old and continue forever. Sometimes we need, in our farm organism or in our life or our business, sometimes we require that bit of chaos to make us step up and go to the next level. Or perhaps step down and lie down and die and not face the change. But you'll see now, like this vortex is just, it's smashing it. It's no sooner do I go and I've got the vortex happening there. So the water starts to form the vortex really easily. And it's fascinating, and when you start working with water like this and you feel the texture of it, and as you go, the pH of the water changes, but the other thing that changes is that the slipperiness. It'll start to feel. You feel it on your fingers. It's quite, yeah, it's almost like you put a little bit of detergent or something in there. It just starts your fingers start to slide more easily with it. So there was something else I was going to mention there is water. The water you work with is important. You know, if you're in town and you've got chlorinated, fluoridated, filtered water, it's not ideal. You can let it sit and let the chlorines go out of it. You can restructure it by using magnets and various things, or you know, you can even restructure the water by stirring like this. One of the most interesting waters I've ever worked with in this process was water that had been through the blue light treatment, rainwater that had been UV treated to kill all the bugs in it. And I was working in this garden with these young guys, and they brought me this water to stir the preparations and put out in the garden. And I'm stirring away there trying to get something going in this water, and it was the most lifeless water I've ever worked with. So I asked them, I said, where'd you get the water from? Oh, this comes out of the commercial kitchen. It's rainwater that's been through the UV light. I went, ah, lovely. Just imagine all of our spring water that we buy from the shops now, and so much water now that they put in these treatment things, and one of the most popular things at the moment is these goddamn UV lights. And I suspect that they're making our water so dead that it's not really beneficial for us to be drinking it. So yeah, that was just an aside on the waters using in this process. That UV treated water was one of the worst. But here we go. There's our nice vortex. I'm hoping at this stage, like hell, that I've got the camera set up right so that I'm capturing all this. And that's the process, and you know, the time frames they give you for doing these stirrings is also another thing that comes out of Newtonian reductionist science. We need weights and measures and times for everything. What I find with this stirring process is when you learn to feel into it, your instinct, your intuition, your innate intelligence, whatever you like to call it, will tell you. Your gut feeling will tell you when it's ready, when you've stirred it enough and it's ready to go out in the garden. So that's it, folks, for the stirring video. I hope you enjoyed it. Would have been nicer if I'd put some nice food dye in this and had sort of rainbow colours happening instead of just this black, dark brown looking product. But I tell you, this E9 is magical stuff. The longer I work with this stuff, and I've been working with it since 2000, 2001, the further I go down this rabbit hole, I guess the more fun I have with it. It is just an awesome way to engage in gardening or farming. Bye-bye.